So, if you guys have been checking out any of the content lately on my channel, I've been focusing a lot on politics and specifically 5+ people in the media working in politics. I guess that's the best way to put it. I don't know. But specifically, guys, I am starting to worry. I don't know if you've been watching any of these I never had any interest, and then all of a sudden I turned 40, and then I don't know what it is, but just something after turning 40, it's like being a kid, and then I don't know, like the birthday where you're just like, you know what, I'll try some broccoli. Give me some vegetables. Yeah, it was like that. Like all of a sudden, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I think I want to just dive into politics, and now I'm just like, wow, we are so deep in hypocrisy that I am on this mission to just address it. But now that I've been addressing it, people are waking up. I've seen it, and I appreciate those on the media who know what I'm talking about, working to help me continue to promote this self-course correction inside the rest of their colleagues. Specifically the 5. But again, today there was an apology video posted by another show on Fox, Outnumbered, where they talk about an apology that was given by 5 other people known as The View, stating an apology for misrepresenting a story covered in their segment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll post the link. But again, it's this movement or this party, TP USA party. They're just young Americans who love this country, but I think that they love it like a little too much. It's like the saying, we can have cake, but we can't eat it too and then still have cake at the end. That's it. So in the video, and the Outnumbered, the gentleman stated, Republicans want low taxes. They want low crime. They want a solid economy. Address those topics. And, so I was like, okay, well, thank you. At least that's clear. And Sean Hannity posted a thing where he's like, this is the Republican platform. They're going to promise you this, and this. So we have the template. We have the form that we're going to hear. So let's just see who fits just like the template exactly. Taking a Mad Lib and just photocopying it and then giving it to everybody in the media and just seeing how they fill in each of these blanks. And the funny thing about this Fox lineup, where it's just from morning to night and then back again, it's just Just you'll see. Just listen to the intro to this.
Fantastic show tonight, Sean. I'll pick it up where you left off.
I am
Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. The China bluff. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Will she or won't she? So who's bluffing? China or Pelosi? Now, Nancy's really tough when she's wagging her finger at Trump or ripping her speech up at the State of the Union. But is she tough enough to defy both our Pentagon hand-wringers and the CCP? Now, she has a long history of at least speaking.
By the way, CCP is personally my initials. So, I don't know. I really just kind of chimed in when I heard that.
Will she or won't she? So who's bluffing? China or Pelosi? Now, Nancy's really tough when she's wagging her finger at Trump or ripping her speech up at the State of the Union. But is she tough enough to defy both our Pentagon hand-wringers and the CCP? Now, she has a long history of at least speaking out against the evils of China.
And just because China is a big economy and because we have a big relationship,
September 25th, 2015, 7 years ago.
doesn't mean that the challenge to our conscience, if we don't speak out against that in China, we lose all moral authority to speak out against it in any other country.
With China's WTO accession is simply giving China a blank check as it failed to comply with market commitments. In this, while China has changed over 30 years in some respects, it is appalling that its human rights record has worsened.
That was fantastic, right? I can't believe I'm saying that about Nancy Pelosi. But now as Speaker of the House and third in line to the presidency, she has a golden opportunity to move beyond rhetoric and actually strike a blow for liberty. Now, since...
Okay, so what is Laura Ingraham just talking about? Liberty? So now this is Laura Ingram's personal angle, giving Nancy Pelosi advice on what she should do in this current event for the sake of our country and our liberty. Okay? Like,
we learned about her intention 1 week ago to travel to Taiwan, powerful forces here and in China have been trying to wave her off with not-so-subtle threats.
The Chinese side has repeatedly made clear to the U.S. side our serious concern over Speaker Pelosi's potential visit to Taiwan and our firm opposition to the visit. We are fully prepared for any eventuality. If the U.S. side insists on making the visit, the Chinese side will take firm and strong measures to safeguard our sovereignty and territorial integrity.
And of course, when China barks, weak-kneed Biden flacks flinch. No need to be mean, President Xi.
That kind of rhetoric coming out of the Chinese side is clearly unhelpful and not necessary. I mean, again, there's been no trip announced, and there's no call for that kind of escalatory rhetoric.
What a weenie! Unhelpful? Actually, I think it's very helpful because it's always helpful when the American people get to see China for what it really is. A ruthless dictatorship that has grown so powerful it thinks it can dominate us. And it's helpful for us to see just how weak and pathetic our own government is. Of course, in reacting to China's own aggression, pathetic. And even worse than Kirby's flaccid response is the fact that we're actually rewarding the Communist Party of China after they threaten the Speaker of the House. Now, Biden is reportedly expected to speak with Xi by telephone on Thursday. This is an absolute embarrassment. This would never have happened under President Trump. I'll tell you what the agenda is going to be. Xi gets what he wants, he promises nothing, and Biden's comms team declares that progress has been made.
From everything from the tensions over Taiwan to the war in Ukraine, as well as how we better manage competition between our two nations. There's a host of issues, and this actually
Now, this is what I'm talking about, okay? This admin is rewarding China in face of aggression. Just this picture right here. A picture says 1,000 words. This admin, this blonde Catholic woman with her sporty gold cross all pointed out and her nice dress and her beautiful makeup done and just a very elite woman in American society. I'm sure you can see that, compared to somebody like me. I was actually told by a girl from South Korea, my own people that my parents left, tell me that I don't have a look of any nobility. And I was like, what? But either way, just here's this respectable looking figure, right? Right? This guy's got a tie on, suit. We just think the guy talking to us right now has got what? Some kind of jersey and it doesn't even have sleeves. He's got a hat on. Like, oh, I'm just going to make a judgment that, I'm going to probably listen to these two rather than the guy in the middle right here. Right?
Rewarding the Communist Party of China after a dictatorship that has grown so.
The Chinese side is clearly
side will take firm over Speaker Pelosi's
the presidency. She has a golden opportunity to move beyond rhetoric and actually strike a blow for liberty.
This is where I'm questioning, this is where I've been kind of digging in, does Laura Ingraham, does Tucker Carlson, does Sean Hannity, does Jesse Waters, does Judge Janine, Greg Gutfeld, I know he's got some comedian ghostwriters, he's not scared to admit that. But Dana Pirro, do these specific names mentioned write what they're saying for themselves when they're saying this stuff to us? And when I say us, I mean all of us who are not sitting in a Fox News chair for, I know Laura Ingraham's been at Fox News for 20 years. Fox News just celebrated their 25th anniversary of doing Fox News. This just liberal news channel. It was liberal when it first started. It was just, we didn't, I don't know. Again, just check out the videos I've done. But this woman has been a common denominator throughout, we can't blame one president or one presidency for the current state. But we can start looking at common denominators who have been political influencers, specifically on CNN, on Fox, for over 20 years, 25 years, for, Sean and Jesse Waters. So I look at these people and just look at me. I love math. I look at everybody kind of, hey, you are a common denominator of this big problem I personally am really trying to fix. But how do you fix this? How do you fix somebody who says something so hypocritical to a camera, looking at a camera, not at us, just looking at a camera, reading these words, again, where she wrote it or she had some people on a staff of writers contribute, whoever is co-producing this daily, just segment, blah, 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 blah. Here's the news, here's the angle, here's, the five, here's Hannity, here's Tucker, what's going on behind scenes? And this is why I ask what's going on behind scenes, because cleverly just, again, I don't want, if it is shadow work, I don't mean to call it out, but just, I have to give credit where credit is due, because there's a lot of rhetoric about the media being responsible for the current polarization of our American society. Like on all levels, not just the political, but now we're divided on, like, yeah, if I even just say like Republican, there's like shorts like, are you friends with a Republican? I would never be friends with anybody who's a Republican. Like, it's that kind of rhetoric where it's just like, Tanya. It's like saying, yeah, oh no, I would never, like, yeah, I hate the gays. I hate blah, 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 blah. Example being Laura Ingraham, who had a very, very strong stance against homosexuality, if you look at the wiki profile that I created. But the section about homosexuality views, it's some weird stuff, and justified it as this is journalistic integrity or something like that, something along those lines. And then the Wikipedia summary follows it up with, Laura changed her views when she found out her gay brother, who was diagnosed and then unfortunately passed away from AIDS. Just the hypocrisy, okay? And even in the wiki thing, it says her brother despises her, calls her just a product of their hateful Nazi sympathetic father. Like, these are actual rhetoric words that I'm spitting out here, okay? So Pelosi has a choice. Action over rhetoric. Laura has a choice. Action over rhetoric. Are you, Laura, going to keep making every angle point towards Trump at some way? Like, is that the niche of your show? Because if it is, then I can just, because that's all I'm picking up. I've been studying your profile, and before I release a final judgment on you, because you right now are causing, just on your own, the five together I can handle, but just you on your own are a huge national security threat. If I was the head of this great country that, again, being the first generation from direct immigrants from South Korea who just through the American dream made it. And now I hear you talking about China. And again, I'm Korean, I'm American, I'm 100% American, I'm 100% Korean. And I'm 100% like human. Like, that's 300%, but it's all one, like. And so when I see this woman who calls herself a devout conservative Republican Catholic and just proves it by flashing her big old gold cross, the biggest idol worship I can even, like that's, if this isn't a picture that says just idolatry, then I don't know what better way to portray it for you. Let me know if this doesn't explain it, because I will continue to fight for it, because idolatry to this level is just ridiculous. As a child of God, as children of God, we owe it to mankind. When I say mankind, I'm talking about mankind like this stock of elite Republicans. Like, this woman needs to get off our screen. The military is having a recruitment crisis, but they won't break away from their priority towards focusing on the woke agenda. Just compassion over country, compassion for people over country. Because if you take care of the people, then the country will take care of itself. But if you focus on just taking care of the country while the country's people are suffering, nothing's going to happen. You're gonna put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and think that, oh yeah, I should be cool. You know, I'm done. Laura has shot so many bullets in just these past 3 days that now if I don't make this and have you watch it and have you guys try to share this or at least help me address this, because this woman is going to lead us into war with China. Do you guys want to go to war with China? Because I don't know. That means I would probably end up being some kind of like gray man. Like I watched the Gray Man and I was just like, oh no. This could be a prep for me. You know, I'm V. I'm 5. If you've seen the movie, there was 4 and 6. I'm just saying, guys, this is a huge problem. So let's just see how Laura's rhetoric helps our country, the situation, her personal agenda. Just let's see who gets helped, how much help this does. Like, what is the problem this video is solving? You know, like this is how I'm focusing my content. But again, Pelosi has a choice, action over rhetoric. If I just change this to Ingraham has a choice, thinking over action over rhetoric, all right? I'll move over here on the left side of the screen and put Laura Ingraham in the middle and Nancy Pelosi on the right side of our view.
Now, since we learned about her intention 1 week ago to travel to Taiwan, powerful forces here and in China have been trying to wave her off with not-so-subtle threats.
The Chinese side has repeatedly made clear to the U.S. side our serious concern over Speaker Pelosi's potential visit to Taiwan and our firm opposition to the visit. We are fully prepared for any eventuality. If the U.S. side insists on making the visit, the Chinese side will take firm and strong measures to safeguard our sovereignty and territorial integrity.
And of course, when China barks, weak-kneed Biden flacks flinch. No need to be mean, President Xi.
That kind of rhetoric coming out of the Chinese side is clearly unhelpful and not necessary. I mean, again, there's been.
Are these guys twins? Like, they look so much. I don't know. This is like with Bosley, without Bosley. But China threatens severe consequence if Pelosi visits Taiwan. So she hasn't visited Taiwan. It wasn't really a threat. It was just a saying like, hey, we are worried. We are concerned. And we are voicing our concern before it's too late and giving us, the country and our leaders and our people, fair warning that, hey, if this happens, and you see it happening, then there's going to be some discussion that's going to be needed, right? So I'm assuming that this is what President Xi is just saying. Just, hey, you guys have been talking, and when I say you guys, I mean just your political Fox media team has been talking so disrespectfully about our country, our people. When I say our, I'm referring to myself as China and the Republic of China and the proud people of the Republic of China, who are also ancestors and related relatives of our Chinese Asian American family in the American family. Okay? So, just, this is how much offense I've taken. Like, I haven't gotten any help. I don't know if you guys have heard any help from this. But, again, just these two guys is hilarious. Not to say all white people look the same. These two white men look like...
There's been no trip announced, and there's no call for that kind of escalatory rhetoric.
What a weenie. I'm helpful. Actually, I think it's very helpful because it's always helpful when the American people get to see China for what it really is.
And this is what I'm talking about. What is it really, Laura?
A ruthless dictatorship that has grown so powerful it thinks it can dominate us. And it's helpful for us to see just how weak and pathetic our own government is. Of course, in reacting to China's own aggression, pathetic. And even worse than Kirby's flaccid response is the fact that we're actually rewarding the Communist Party of China after they threaten the Speaker of the House. Now, Biden is reportedly expected to speak with Xi by telephone on Thursday. This is an absolute embarrassment. This would never have happened under President Trump. I'll tell you what the agenda is going to be. Xi gets what he wants. He promises nothing, and Biden's comms team declares that progress has been made.
From everything from the tensions over Taiwan to the war in Ukraine, as well as how we better manage competition between our two nations, certainly in the economic sphere. There's a host of issues, and this is a call that has been scheduled for a long time.
Asian language, there's a reason.
Oh, for a long time.
Asian stereotype.
Well, Joe Biden thought his long friendship with Xi was going to mean Xi would be nicer to us.
Left and right. It's because it's like the combination of consonants.
Of course, the man's never been right about a single foreign policy matter in his life.
My last name.
Certainly in the economic sphere, there's a host of issues, and this is a call that has been scheduled for a long time.
So there's reasons
for a long
behind these
time.
stereotypes.
Well, Joe Biden thought his long friendship with Xi was going to mean Xi would be nicer to us.
Again. Listen to how the rhetoric changed. This woman is not a fan of talking good about Biden or anything that can't be 6 degrees connected back to Trump in some way, in a good light for him to, for him to come back and fix this country. If Trump was in office, this would never have happened. In what,
He promises. Of course, in reacting to China's own aggression, pathetic. And even worse than Kirby's flaccid response is the fact that we're actually rewarding the Communist Party of China.
Why did you use the word flaccid? Should he have given us some kind of response that gets us all rock hard? Oh my God, I'm raging to shoot some Chinese people. Is this the rhetoric you're able to just kind of understand? What, if you're not hearing it as clearly as I am, at least find yourself in a seat watching and listening to me talk about this. Understand why I am interpreting this rhetoric
he promised
saying to us right now.
Of course, in reacting to China's own aggression, pathetic. And even worse than Kirby's flaccid response is the fact that we're actually rewarding the Communist Party of China. This is an absolute embarrassment.
Why is it an embarrassment? What would she want us to do? What would she want Biden to do? If he went to China, then they're going to do some story about, oh, now right after his COVID, announcement that he's getting better, which thankfully President Biden, we are grateful to hear that you are taking a turn for the better, to continue just helping us try to get through this. But again, Mr. Biden, I hope you take some lessons
after
away from these
they
words
threaten
as
the
well,
Speaker of the
because
House.
it's from both sides.
Now, Biden is reportedly expected
these
to
generations,
speak with
these
Xi
older
by
generations,
telephone
I'm
on Thursday.
Generation
This is
Y.
an absolute embarrassment.
So these baby boomers, the silent generation, and then listening to what the greatest generations who are still alive to see this have said, and the way that these analysts just, again, use it as a 6th degree of separation instead of Kevin Bacon, it's to Donald Trump. Like, it's disgusting. It's pathetic. And when she uses the word flaccid, I stop and think, like, who gets hard from this?
This would never have happened under President Trump.
And there's the
I'll tell
answer.
you what the agenda's going to be. Xi gets what he wants, he promises nothing, and Biden's comms team declares that progress has been made.
From everything from the tensions.
And that's the angle from Chit Chat Chat.
This would never have happened under President Trump. I'll tell you what the agenda is going to be. Xi gets what he wants, he promises nothing, and Biden's comms team declares that progress has been made.
From everything from the tensions over Taiwan to the war in Ukraine, as well as how we better manage competition between our two nations, certainly in the economic sphere. There's a host of issues, and this is a call that has been scheduled for a long time.
Oh, for a long time. Well, Joe Biden thought his long friendship with Xi was going to mean Xi would be nicer to us. Of course, the man's never been right about a single foreign policy matter in his life. Never. And don't you think Chinese and thought his long...
Okay.
From everything from the tensions over Taiwan to the war in Ukraine, as well as how we better manage competition between our two nations, certainly in the economic sphere. There's a host of issues, and this is a call that has been scheduled for a long time.
Oh, for a long time. Well, Joe Biden thought his long friendship with Xi was going to mean...
So this is where the captions, okay? So now, remember I pointed out how the pronunciation changed from G to she, okay? In the captions here, it clearly says she says she. Now, if we take the captions off... Look at this banner. Biden foolishly thought she wouldn't exploit him. All right? Yeah, I foolishly thought so too, President Biden.
Xi would be nicer to us. Of course, the man's never been right about a single foreign policy matter in his life. Never. And don't you think Chinese intelligence knows?
Again, are you feeling like this is helping our country? Like, if you just all of a sudden like, hey, you're the leader of a country and you can run it as a dictatorship, or you can run it however you want, and then however you choose, it's your choice. You're free to choose. That's how it was given to you. Goes against what this woman says, and then you just watch, us allow this woman to just stay on TV, continuing to talk about how you and your country and the way that you set up your country and now treat your people, and even the people who put their kids in slave labor, making, like, you're the evil one. It's like, excuse me? Like, you're the one who gave us these things. You gave us these contracts to do all these things. We were all, slave labor? Yeah, I guess you could call it slave labor, but everybody in America is just like, oh, Asians are just like so hardworking. Yeah, we have like a head start clearly on the average American citizen culturally in comparison, And that's why when my parents tried to just kind of empower me with that kind of work ethic, like, it's like I kind of feel like a slave. And then they started giving me an allowance. I was like, all right, well, I guess I went from slave to employee. When am I going to go back to son? And this is another cultural issue going on in my parents' homeland. So, these are all personal, heart-stirring issues that I can connect with. And so when I hear this woman in particular, Laura Ingraham, just continue to talk about China and how our military is depleted, weak, needs recruitment, and then is absolutely just like, the government is ridiculous, leading them is pathetic. Like, it's just, I see the way to put it, it's like, if this wasn't made, would anything have changed? I think so. If this wasn't made, a lot would have changed. And unfortunately, I cannot reverse back time and make her change to see if that theory would be true. So I can only try to change her now while she is still in the same shape. I don't want to see her at Biden's age like, I realized all the pain and suffering I've caused the people of America, and I just finally want to say I'm sorry. I want retribution while they are alive, sane, and able to give us a formal, heartfelt, mindful apology or promise to change this continuous hate speech rhetoric.
They knew Biden was weak before he was president. It was so easy for China to compromise the Biden family with some sweetheart deals, piece of cake. And they know Biden's even weaker now. The CCP couldn't ask for a better scenario. A hobbled U.S. president who they already have in their back pocket. It's like taking candy from a memory care patient. Well, smartly, prominent Republicans are speaking out, supporting Pelosi's trip. This could be a rare moment of bipartisanship.
Speaker Pelosi should absolutely go forward with her trip to Taiwan. She might want to consider adding a prominent Republican like Kevin McCarthy, the House Republican leader, to show the bipartisan support that exists in this country for Taiwan.
Now, refusing to bow to the people who use slave labor to make T-shirts and flip-flops would be the smartest political move Nancy Pelosi has ever made. Yeah, maybe ever. The only question is, will she let herself be talked out of it by a bunch of nervous Nellies in the Defense Department? Now, Biden already tipped his hand about what he thinks.
Mr. President, do you think it's a good idea for Speaker Pelosi to travel to Taiwan this summer?
Well, I think that the military thinks it's not a good idea right now.
And our establishment's official news.
The military thinks it's not a good idea, but then this Tom Cotton, who said, I think it's an absolute good idea.
The only question is, will she let herself be talked out of it by a bunch of nervous Nellies in the Defense Department? Now, Biden already tipped his hand about what he thinks.
He looks so young.
Mr. President, do you think it's a good idea for Speaker Pelosi to travel to Taiwan this summer?
McCarthy, the House Republican leader.
This could be a rare moment of bipartisanship.
Speaker Pelosi should absolutely go forward with her trip to Taiwan. She might want to consider adding a prominent Republican like Kevin McCarthy, the House Republican leader, to show the bipartisan support that exists in this country for Taiwan.
Now, refusing to bow.
These people want war. They want to create war. They are suggesting, Pelosi, do this. Go show some backbone and you tell China, I'm going to Taiwan. If I want to go to Taiwan, I'll go to Taiwan. You do that. We got your back. Whatever they want to do, I will tell millions of people's kids to go fight for our country and get killed for this war so I can make more money and buy more crosses and, have stories to try to compete with Jesse Waters and just the Five. They won't have me on the Five. Laura, you are such a problem.
To the people who use slave labor to make T-shirts and flip-flops would be the smartest political move Nancy Pelosi has ever made. Yeah, maybe ever. The only question is, will she let herself be talked out of it by a bunch of nervous Nellies in the Defense Department? Now, Biden already tipped his hand about what he thinks.
Mr. President, do you think it's a good idea for Speaker Pelosi to travel to Taiwan this summer?
Well, I think that the military thinks it's not a good idea right now.
Okay, so right there, here's this standard right here. This is like chess. This is the left. The Democratic supporters, and when I say Democratic, I mean those of us who support democracy over republic. These people who are conservative Republicans are painting themselves to be neo-Nazis. Our country's better than anyone else, and da da da. Even though she keeps saying, "Oh, we suck in these areas," and yeah, I haven't heard one thing that she said except for Pelosi is like, "Oh yeah, this invitation to start war." Like, this is where, if you've ever played chess with somebody, you pick up that chess piece and you like put it there, like, oh, it's like, oh, I'm gonna move this back and see what you say about this one. Okay, so then we see Joe Biden, a pawn in this media Fox script, start to move. The pawn says, hey, I just moved here that says the military advised me. I'm the chief executive officer. And the military advised me that she should not do this. This is bad. Okay? So this is like a board of trustees telling the the boss telling Trump, like, yeah, you shouldn't do this with your hotel or it's going to get blown up. Like, then what? Like, Trump would hear that and be like, who's saying this? Like, who's going to blow up? You know, like China? Yeah! You tell them, kiss my, like, this is how I'm interpreting it.
And our establishment's official newspaper of record, the New York Times, published a story filled with administration leaks that our military is very concerned that Pelosi's Taiwan stopover could provoke China into doing something very dangerous. Huh. You notice that we didn't see any anonymous Pentagon sources or anyone in the White House concerned about provoking Vladimir Putin in Ukraine? I wonder why. Last time I checked, Russia's a nuclear power, too. Now, it's important that everyone understands this. There are 4 distinct groups that are opposed to upsetting China and therefore insistent that Pelosi cancel this trip. Of course, the military establishment knows that China is dangerous.
What is she gonna... Okay, the Pentagon. Okay, this is the 4?
They've said as much.
This aggressive and irresponsible behavior represents one of the most significant threats to peace and stability in the region today, including in the South China Sea. We see Beijing combining its growing military power with greater willingness to take risks.
But our military leadership, current and retired, they're compromised.
I'm not sure what positive can come out of it, and there will be some signal, some measure by the Chinese in response to a Pelosi visit. It's not a good idea.
Now, McCaffrey and company were embarrassed with the outcomes in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they don't want to undergo the kind of reform in the military that's actually needed for us to be able to beat the People's Liberation Army. Second, of course, there's the business community. They never want to provoke China, no matter how many labor camps China's operating.
And you said we are a brand of China and for China. Do you feel like you have to sacrifice your values at all as a company to do business there?
Not at all, Sarah. We participate in sport all over the world, including China. China is a very important market for us. We're continuing to invest in China, and we'll continue to invest in China.
Well, big business' entire agenda is to make it easier for themselves to set up shop in China and ultimately ship more American jobs over there. Third, well, the academics and the universities. They make so much money off China. Remember the research grants, the swanky trips, thousands of Chinese students, 350,000 to be exact, studying here in the United States. They don't want anything to jeopardize that. That's cash cow. Fourth, of course, our regime media. They've always loved carrying water for China. They know they'll be really embarrassed for getting it wrong all these years. If Pelosi goes over to Taiwan and is treated really badly by the CCP. So they don't want her to go because it would expose their complicity. So all these forces protecting China, they already know that President Xi is evil and he's the single greatest danger to freedom worldwide. They already know that. So all these really embarrassed for getting it wrong all these years. If Pelosi goes over to Taiwan and is treated really badly by the CCP. So they don't want her to go because it would expose their complicity. So all these forces protecting China, they already know that President Xi is evil and he's the single greatest danger to freedom worldwide. They already know.
See, right there, captions, XI. These aren't coincidences, people.
That. And yet they choose to do nothing. And instead, well, our military, of course, focusing almost exclusively on Europe. They know full well that Xi is a murderous dictatorial thug. Yet they choose the path of...
And they're contemplating removing Trump's tariffs, the administration.
They.
Leverage that we need.
This is where it's like, Laura, you know they is you.
Pelosi's court. She never has been known as someone who can be easily intimidated.
We know that about Nancy. But if China can get her to back off, it's going to be a crushing blow to U.S. power and our prestige. It's humiliating.
If the Speaker of the House now allows some second-rate Chinese foreign diplomat just issue a statement and change the direction, change the actions that the United States will take because we are fearful of them, we are in for a long struggle, and it will not end well with that kind of failed leadership. It tells every one of our allies in the region, the Japanese, the South Koreans, the Australians, it says, don't hang with the Americans. They're fearful.
The problem isn't Pelosi's desire to show support for the people of Taiwan. That's actually admirable. The problem is that from day one, the Biden administration has established a reputation for weakness and incompetence, not just in domestic affairs, but foreign affairs as well. And this encourages China to bully and embarrass the Biden administration at every opportunity. So right now, Chinese officials are banking on a continuation of the status quo, the slow but sure capitulation of the United States. Let's face it, Xi thinks democracies are weak, and he believes that America and Europe will eventually become his puppet states. So Pelosi needs to call everybody's bluff, refuse to change her travel plans, because if she does not, she might as well give Xi the strings. And that's the angle.
If you caught word that everything that we pay for to protect our privacy, our digital footprint, was now going to be able to be accessed for and by the government, national security, in the sake of patriotism. Yes, they said, hey, Google and Apple and like just every DuckDuckGo, Ring. We already heard the thing about Ring where they're like, yeah, we've helped officers. We provided them footage without the consent of this. And now people are freaking out like, yay! I don't want you just handing video of what's happening in front of my house to the police if they ask for it. Like, this is the bait. Okay? This is the bait. This is how you find out who is a true American who loves this country and what it stands for versus those who say they love this country and what it stands for because it has let them stand on top of us their entire life. That's the distinguishment. It's the separation between. In Christianity, I had a revelation where it was like, Christ taught us that we are all one family. We should all the last commandment was that we all love one another. And if anybody says they hate someone, is not of God, because God is love. And then when he left, we were to become one people without the need of a physical figure being there telling us like, this is what we got to do. But we couldn't do it. Then the next prophet, Muhammad, came, remembered us to that family by telling us like lovely words in his rhetoric. And then that's now the biggest threat to Christianity and Catholicism, I guess. I don't know. Like, there are those who consider respect to be fear. If someone says, hey, I respect you, there are some of us who take that compliment and interpret it as, this person fears me. This person fears the power I have, you know? Or they're scared or aware of the power that I have. Maybe that's the fear. It's just they respect me that I have this power. And they acknowledge the power, whether they're fearful or whatever. But there are some of us who say, this person fears me, or this person loves me for the way that I yield my power, right? If we're talking about the fear of something. God-fearing, God-loving. I'm God-loving. I never said I'm God-fearing. Just those words don't make any... It's an oxymoron. God is love. How can you fear love? So these words, it's just, you guys, don't be scared now. I'll tell you when to be scared. But this is Judgment Day, Armageddon. This is the separation. Armageddon is just the war between good and evil. And this is our war. This is evil in an American patriotism sense. This type of patriotism is what got prominent Nazi Germany. You know, just because we are a bigger nation doesn't make us any less susceptible to the same fate that happened to that part of the world, the old world, you know, compared to us on the new world. So we are like the kids who left the parents, and now we've grown up, and the parents are getting old, telling us like we've made so many mistakes, and we realize it now, and we're trying to fix that. And the kids are just like, shh, yeah, we've been telling you all the mistakes that you've made. It's about time, like, yeah. And then that kind of like pumps up their ego. When I say there, I'm talking about the media, Fox News for 25 years. Their heads just get bigger. They compete for ratings. And all they do is just, again, they can't stop themselves from just addressing this and these types of current events from this angle of just exclusivity. They say they, we, you, them, da. And if you try to keep track of it, it's difficult, you know, like it's difficult to talk about like, who is they now? You know, like, what are we talking? You said they, the Chinese, and now you're talking about they are the ones who are responsible for the Chinese. Blah, blah. Who are you talking about, Laura? Because I'm talking about you right now. So you address me directly or indirectly, and we'll go from there.